Cece, one word to describe today.
Only one word. Unreal. That's fire. Honestly, unreal.
When Caitlin Clark stepped back onto the Carver Hawkeye Arena floor, something magical happened. The crowd erupted to 116 decibels during player introductions, louder than even some NFL and NBA games, before she even touched the ball. But when Clark launched a 36 feet three-pointer from the exact spot where she broke Kelsey Plum's NCAA scoring record, the arena literally shook. 7 months away from basketball didn't change a thing. Caitlin Clark's homecoming wasn't just a game, it was a statement about what's coming in 2025. In this video, we'll talk about the magical moments you may have missed during the celebrated game. If you're excited about the upcoming season, comment fired up for the Fever down below. What happens when a hometown hero returns after conquering the basketball world? Iowa City gave us the answer, and it was louder than anyone expected. Hours before tip-off, fans lined up outside Carver Hawkeye Arena. They weren't just there for the game, they wanted to see warm-ups, to breathe the same air as Caitlin Clark. For as long as possible, the line wrapped around the building, people standing in the Mayweather, just waiting for doors to open. All this for a preseason game that wouldn't count in any standings.
It means you to be going back to play at Iowa, but this time with your jersey in the rafters.
Yeah, I'm super excited to go back and play at Iowa. Obviously a place that has meant a lot to me, and we've had so many amazing games inside that arena, so it'll be fun to be back in front of those fans, and honestly to get to introduce those fans to all my new teammates. And the Indiana Fever, I think, will be really special because they love supporting all of us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I know it's gonna be a special day.
7 months is a long time in basketball. 7 months away from professional competition made us miss every single moment Clark was on the court. What will she do in her first play? Will she hit a logo three? Those questions got answered the moment Clark stepped onto the court. The roar was immediate. Not just any cheer, we're talking about noise that hit 116 decibels during player introductions. That's louder than most NFL games, louder than playoff basketball. All for a player introduction and a preseason game.
What are you the most excited to show your teammates around campus?
Ooh. Honestly, I'm most excited to show them how cool Iowa City is. Like, people don't realize how good of a college town that place is. My teammates just expect it to be cornfield, but I'm like, no, it's one of the greatest colleges. So yeah, downtown Iowa City is where it's at. So we'll give them a little tour, and I'm sure they're gonna.
Crazy for you too. This wasn't just any arena for Clark. This was Carver Hawkeye, the place where she became a household name, where she broke records that seemed unbreakable, where she turned women's college basketball into must-see TV. Iowa is now called the epicenter of women's basketball because of Clark. The walls of this building had seen her grow from promising freshman to basketball icon, and the fans, they paid an average of $670 per ticket. That's not regular season prices. That's not playoff prices. That's I need to be there for a historic moment prices. Some drove hours across state lines, took days off work, just to see their hero back on her home court.
Yeah, getting to go back to Iowa, it's so exciting. I obviously haven't really been there much since I left about a year ago. And I think just getting to see people that have supported me throughout my career and continue to support me is going to be incredible. But also, like, they're the biggest Indiana Fever fans too now. Like, they want to meet all my teammates. They want to cheer for my teammates. And I was telling some of the girls this the other day, I'm like, they're going to go crazy for you.
Even Clark's teammates understood the significance. Lexi Hull 22 Iowa jersey during pregame, a beautiful gesture acknowledging this wasn't just another game for her teammate. This was a homecoming.
Finding affordable tickets for the Indiana Fever preseason game against Brazil at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Seats at the arena for the May 4th matchup between the Indiana Fever and Brazil were first offered to season ticket holders and a few top donors. It didn't take long for them to be gone.
Emotion hit Clark too. You could see it in her eyes during warm-ups, scanning the familiar arena, now packed to its 15,000-person capacity. This building launched her into basketball immortality. And now she returned as something even bigger, a professional who had changed the game forever. But This homecoming wasn't just about nostalgia and ceremonies. As Clark took the floor for tip-off, it became clear this night wasn't just symbolic. It was the perfect showcase to prove that her connection to Iowa remained unbroken, and her basketball brilliance had only grown stronger during her time away. The ball went up for the opening tip, and the entire arena leaned forward in their seats. Clark settled into position, and that familiar focus returned to her eyes no one in that arena could have predicted how perfectly the night would unfold for Clark and her teammates. But they were about to find out, and the journey would start with a shot that would bring the house down. Clark pull-up three. You bet in sports some moments go beyond just points on a scoreboard. They tell a story all by themselves. Right of the jump, Clark hits the first basket. And you guessed it, a three-pointer. Who knew that was just a warm-up to what would happen later in the game when Caitlin Clark pulled up from 36 feet out in the third quarter at Carver Hawkeye Arena. With 25 seconds left on the clock, she took 3 quick dribbles and launched a shot that wasn't just a basket. It was Clark announcing to everyone that she was back. The better-looking possessions of the day for Brazil. Here's Clark. Wow, you bet from beyond the logo. And a little point afterward, early in the game, you could see Clark settling into her rhythm. The same confidence, the same court vision that made her a legend at Iowa was still there. Her movements looked familiar to everyone who had watched her dominate college basketball. The passes were crisp, the decisions quick, the smile unmistakable. The Brazil national team was already struggling to keep up with the Fever's offense when Clark crossed half court with that look in her eyes. You know, the one where she sees something nobody else does. The defenders backed up, but not far enough. They never do. What made this moment even more special, the exact spot on the floor where Clark pulled up wasn't random. It was the very same location where she had broken Kelsey Plum's scoring record during her senior season, history repeating itself in the most perfect way now with her new team. And under her retired jersey, without a hint of hesitation, Clark launched the ball from way beyond the three-point line. The shot arced high above the defense in that signature trajectory that Hawkeye fans had seen hundreds of times before. The ball swished through the net without touching the rim, adding that extra touch of magic to an already electric moment. The reaction from her teammates told the whole story later when Clark asked if the arena got loud after her shot. Sophie Cunningham joked, "When you scored, no." Lexi Hull added with a grin, "No one really cared." That playful back and forth showed something special brewing with this Fever team, genuine chemistry that goes beyond the court. The crowd's response hit 117 decibels, creating a physical sensation that players described feeling in their chests. This wasn't just noise, it was pure joy unleashed from nearly 15,000 fans who had been waiting for exactly this moment. Fever coach Stephanie White summed it up perfectly. The shot was a good momentum builder, and exactly what everyone wanted to see from Clark in that arena. That's just who she is, what she does, White said, capturing the essence of what makes Clark special. Yeah, I thought it was electric. You know, it's what you've seen, whether it's from the outside on television or being here broadcasting But to actually feel the energy, I mean, it is a thing when you talk about having a six-man, so to speak, crowd energy. It gives you a lift, it gives you a boost. It's why we all do what we do, like to feed into these kinds of environments. And so it was a lot of fun. This single shot represented everything about Clark: the fearlessness, the unlimited range, the flair for big moments, and the deep connection to her basketball roots in Iowa. The logo three-pointer wasn't just another highlight for social media. It was Clark's way of telling everyone that her WNBA journey would continue. The magic she created at Iowa, with that shot finding nothing but net, the stage was set for what would become a dominant team performance. The hometown hero wasn't just back, she was better than ever.
I said 30 seconds, I'm like, I can make it 2 for 1 word. You knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Did it get loud in here?
Did you get scored?
Yeah. No.
No one really cares. You gotta be better.
Final score read 108-44. But numbers could never capture what happened at Carver Hawkeye Arena. That night Caitlin Clark's return to the court wasn't just a game. It was the first chapter of what looks like an unforgettable sophomore campaign. Sure, that 36 feet logo 3 got everyone out of their seats. But watching Clark for the full 19 minutes, she played revealed something more important. This isn't the same player who left the court 7 months ago. This is Caitlin Clark Unleashed.
Yeah, I thought it was electric. You know, it's what you've seen, whether it's from the outside on television or being here broadcasting, but to actually feel the energy. I mean, it is a thing when you talk about having a six man, so to speak. Crowd energy. It gives you a lift. It gives you a boost. It's why we all do what we do, like to feed into these kinds of environments. And so it was a lot of.
Final score read 108-44. But numbers could never capture what happened at Carver Hawkeye Arena. That night Caitlin Clark's return to the court wasn't just a game. It was the first chapter of what looks like an unforgettable sophomore campaign. Sure, that 36 feet logo 3 got everyone out of their seats. But watching Clark for the full 19 minutes, she played revealed something more important. This isn't the same player who left the court 7 months ago. This is Caitlin Clark Unleashed. While everyone focused on the final score, something more meaningful was happening on that court. For 7 months, Clark had been away from professional basketball 7 months. To think, to train, to evolve. The question wasn't if she'd come back strong, was how much stronger would she be? The answer jumped off the screen immediately. The added muscle on Clark's frame wasn't just for show. She absorbed contact in the lane that would have sent rookie Clark stumbling. She finished through defenders who thought they had her. Stopped plays that ended with Clark on the floor last season now ended with points on the board and Clark jogging back on defense.
Hard to put into words like what exactly it means to me. It's almost overwhelming to a point. Like, I'm just very, very thankful to be able to come back to a place that continues to support me and see old friends that are having a great time getting to watch me do my thing, that don't play basketball anymore, that are just my friends, and spending time with them. Like, even though it was just dinner last night, like, it's just fun to come back here and like kind of feel like you're in college again in a way, but also it was a little weird like going in the locker room.
Her court vision reached new levels. 2-1 pass in particular stood out, a threading needle between two defenders that hit Aaliyah Boston perfectly in stride for an easy basket. Another time, she spotted Kelsey Mitchell in the corner. Before Mitchell even knew she was open, the ball arrived right in the shooting pocket. And 3 more points for the Fever. What struck everyone watching wasn't just the skill. It was the joy. Every pass, every shot, every defensive stop came with that unmistakable Clark energy. She smiled after good plays. She clapped for teammates. She pumped her fist when Boston grabbed a tough rebound. This wasn't a player going through the motions. This was someone who truly missed the game. She loves Clark. Pull-up 3. You missed it. Extra feed haul. Another Leo Olson. Some trickery behind the bat. Paul elevates and drops it, and here's Clark. Wow. You from beyond the logo, and a little point afterwards. The post-game moments hit just as hard as the game itself. Clark embraced former Iowa staff members, tears visibly forming in her eyes. When she finally checked out of the game, every single fan stood, creating a wall of appreciation that moved even the most stoic observers. Her post-game interview, where she thanked Iowa fans for always having my back, felt like the perfect ending to a perfect night. As the final minutes ticked away on that 64-point victory, you could feel something bigger happening. This wasn't just a preseason win. This wasn't just Clark putting on a show for her old fans. This was the Indiana Fever planting their flag for 2025. The foundation is being built right before our eyes, a team that moves the ball, that plays with joy, that has chemistry you can't fake. And at the center of it all stands Caitlin Clark, the hometown hero who returned to Iowa to show everyone that her basketball story is just getting started.
Something about this gym like just makes me play well, and these shoes, like, it just, I don't know. So there's something about it, but a lot of gratitude, and just thankful I can share it with my family too. A lot of them were here. My grandparents were here, and they don't get to come to many either. And these are the moments that like you never take for granted, and you kind of just want to stay in for forever. So.
Behind all the excitement about Caitlin Clark's homecoming was something even more promising for Indiana Fever fan. Signs that this team is building something truly special. It wasn't just about one player. It was about a completely transformed team. The way the Fever dismantled Brazil showed everything that was missing. Last season, the ball zipped around the court, finding open shooters. Defenders swarmed to the ball, forcing 26 turnovers. Players celebrated each other's success. This wasn't just Clark and friends. This was a real team. After a rookie season filled with growing pains, many wondered if Clark could truly mesh with her new teammates. Could all this individual talent collected during the offseason actually translate to wins? Could they turn potential into results for one night? At least the answer was a resounding yes.
We want to compete. We want to be our best. We want to compete at a high level. We've got edgy players. We've got competitive players. And I guarantee you it doesn't matter if we're playing cards or if we're playing basketball. They want to win. And they want to do what it takes to win and position themselves to win. So I love that about this group. It means that we don't waste time in practice. They don't waste reps. They don't waste moments we have to get better. And it really is a joy to coach.
Kelsey Mitchell showed exactly why she's the perfect scoring partner for Clark. Her 17 points included 4 3-pointers, many coming off Clark's pinpoint passes. Mitchell's 3 steals also highlighted how her defensive intensity has increased. When asked about the offensive improvement from their previous preseason game, Clark didn't mince words. It wasn't choppy like our Washington game that was hard to watch at times. Susan, another chance here for Indiana. Here's Mitchell wiggling and cuffing it in Aaliyah. Boston's performance might have been the most encouraging sign of all. Her 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists demonstrated the two-woman game with Clark that could become the backbone of this offense. Boston's ability to make smart decisions with the basketball stood out all night, creating scoring opportunities for herself and teammates. Then
Hard pull-up 3. You bet! Extra feed, Hall. Another. Let's see Hall. Olsen. Some trickery behind the bat. Hall elevates and drops it in. Here's Clark. Wow. You bet! From beyond the logo. And a little point afterwards.
Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham proved they're exactly the type of complementary players this team needs. Hull knocked down 3 3-pointers, while Cunningham's energy and basketball IQ created perfect spacing. Their willingness to make the extra pass and find open shots kept the offense flowing. Dana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Carlson, and Michaela Timpson brought in the energy, the grit, and the hustle. Check out this sweet play from Carlson to Howard, Indiana. Here's Howard running with Carlson. Oh, Carlson, some trickery behind the back. Hale and Clark, a big smile. Coach Stephanie White's defensive approach looks completely different too. The team held Brazil to single digits scoring in 2 quarters, something that would have seemed impossible last season. Our defense was really good, White said, though she noted they're still working to minimize miscommunications and mistakes. The pace and flow of the Fever's offense looked nothing like last year. Players made decisive cuts, found the open shooter, and played with confidence. Clark orchestrated without dominating, showing complete trust in her teammates. Perhaps most telling was Clark's physical transformation. The added muscle was obvious, helping her absorb contact that would have sent her flying last year. Clark explained, being consistent in your training helps you feel better throughout the season, and in the playoffs the game gets more physical. As the final buzzer sounded on that 64-point victory, the celebration wasn't just about the return of a star. It was the first glimpse of a team that spent 7 months building a foundation for what could be a breakthrough season. The Indiana Fever aren't just Clark's team. They're a complete unit ready to make serious noise in 2025.